these two things that I'm about to talk about, are quite sensitive things that sometimes people are shying away from. The two D's that are always present in most, if not all, problems. These two D's are delay and debt. Okay, these two concepts, delay and debt, always talks about the consumption of a specific resource. Now, let me try to qualify that. When I say the consumption of a specific resource, when you delay, you are consuming time. Time is a very important resource, right? Time is gold. So if you delay, you are consuming time, sometimes responsibly, and sometimes, or maybe majority of the times, irresponsibly. On the other hand, debt is the consumption or the use of resource such as money, okay, because you ran out of it or you lack of it, perhaps because of an important need, or perhaps because of small things. But anyway, the resource that we talk about when we talk about debt is money. Now, before I jump into discussing further about delay and debt, let me talk about those resources first. Money and time are the currency of the world. When you work, you're paid by the hour, right? Especially here in the Philippines. You work 8 hours a day, you get money because of the time that you render. On the other hand, time is still very, very important. Now, when you spend time with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, time is invaluable. It is indisputable that these two resources, time and money, are very important. Now, why did I first focus on the importance of time and money before I jump in discussing delay and debt? I talk about those two resources, time and money, to emphasize how important it is to look into the consequences of debt and delay. Let's talk about delay first, okay? Number one, when you delay, you take for granted or you forsake a task or a specific event for something else. When you delay and sacrifice one task over the other, or prioritize one task over the other, that other task stops. The consequence of delay is that you have a lot of things to catch up for that thing that you delayed. Now, as you delay, time doesn't stop. Time doesn't stop. It keeps on running. When you procrastinate, you just pile up a lot of work. At the end, it's destroying your well-being already. You cannot live in the present because you're always thinking of those things that you delayed. That's the obvious peril of delay. It's when you have tasks and they pile up because you delayed them, right? Now, I don't want to talk about time management and how to battle procrastination. I'm done with that. What I'm trying to say is the obvious. If you delay, you're wasting time. Now, would you rather delay still or stop delaying? That's entirely up to you. Let me talk about the second concept, the second D, debt. Okay, let's get the facts clear first. When you owe someone money, you have to pay that money. And when you owe someone money, you always tell them when you're gonna pay them back. No one wants to let someone lend money to someone who doesn't know when to pay. You always have to specify a date when you will make that specific payment for the amount of money that you owe. Now, I don't care if the cause of your debt is because of some luxurious thing you wanted to buy by an impulse, or if it was caused by an accident, something that we didn't want to happen, an ill family member. I don't care about the cause. I'm only talking about debt in looking at debt per se, okay? Debt as the act of borrowing money. Now, when you borrow money, this is very critical because your integrity and credibility is in question. It is important that you stick with the promises that you make. I remember Frank Underwood talking about what the definition of promise. A promise the basic definition of a promise, it's that it remains immune of change. Regardless of what happens around you and in your environment, what a promise remains a promise, and it is immune to change. When you say, I'll pay you at the end of the month, I don't care if you have no money at the end of the month. You promised me the end of the month, so let me now, get the money at the end of the month, because that's what your promise is. So I think that's very, very, very important, okay? When you owe someone money, you have to stick with your promises, because your credibility and integrity are at stake. It's too obvious to say that integrity and credibility are two of the most important things that you should be able to protect with your life. But of course, there are some times where you're just trying to make ends meet, and it's just really taxing on how to put up with this. Then I remember Duterte saying his mom, a teacher, in the retirement days of his mom, the mom was still paying 5/6. 5/6 is a rate here in the Philippines where you owe someone money and you have to pay 20% interest. 5 becomes 6. But I just want to now connect these two things. If you owe someone money, do not delay that. They are expecting you to make ways in order to fulfill your promise. And if they will not see that effort from your part, I'm sorry, I'm afraid that you are ruining your integrity and credibility. In an ideal and perfect world, you'll be able to protect that. But in reality, it's very tough. Just trying to work on how to pay your bills and how to sustain the needs of your family. This is just very challenging. But I think I have to emphasize that if you owe someone money, find a way so that you'll be able to fulfill your promise. Because make another promise to someone, find a way. Find a way. You have to find a way. You cannot just chicken out of your responsibility because you don't have anything. It's impossible. There's always a way. I don't know if you will result to kneeling in front of that person that you owe someone money from. I don't care. I don't know. You find your own way. But there is a way, and I'm very sure about that. If you tell me right now, you stand in front of me and you tell me, I already did everything that I can, but I cannot. No. Unless it's cancer or it's anything that is incurable, there is always a way. I remember Alfred Adler, the sickly psychologist that we always discuss, the theorist who basically disagreed with most, if not all, of Freud's concepts. Adler said, we are all different, but he said one thing, and this is very important, to combat delay and debt. He said, we have creative power. Regardless of your environment, regardless of your biological predispositions, Adler said, creative power smothers the effects. When you say smother, that's, taking the breath of something. It smothers the effect of biology and environment. That means, I don't care about your genes. I don't care about where you are working at or your environment. You can do something about it. That's creative power, and it's inherent in all of us. Should you be anxious with the delay and be anxious with the debts that you have? Adler also said one more thing. Adler said, can use your safeguarding tendencies. Find an excuse. Be aggressive. I don't know. At one point in time, you have to make a conscious effort and try to battle that anxiety, because it's not going to do you good. At the end of the day, you summarize it very well with what Rollo May said. Rollo May said, in existential psychology, he advised us, we have freedom to do whatever we want, but at the end we have responsibility. You remember Spider-Man? Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, I don't know about you, but freedom is great power. Freedom is the ability to do anything that you want to do. And that means it requires great responsibility as well. So let me just summarize this vlog by saying, this is just an honest vlog, I was just uttering everything that I can remember. This is just raw emotions coming out of me. But I hope you got something out of this vlog. Or not. It will make sense at the end. Adler said that too. It's like life is like a playwright. It will all make sense towards your final goal at the end. So, see you all in my next vlog.